You know what, Matt? You know what I'm in the mood for?
What? What are you in the mood for, Robert?
Gummy bears. You know what I don't have?
What?
Gummy bears. Do you know what I do have, though?
What do you have?
This amazing audience of this podcast, because this is the We Are One, You Are Two PlayStation podcast. I am your host, Rob Fanzo, joined once again by he's got a lot of time on his hands.
Oh,
Matt Rhodes.
He sure does. Hey-o.
How you doing?
I'm pretty good. Could be better, could be worse.
Yeah, I hear you.
But, you know, what can you do? That's life. So, yeah, I've been playing a lot of video games.
Yeah, you have been. I don't know if you want to go into any reasons why, but I'm sure.
Yeah, I got furloughed. For my job. So.
Yeah. It knows no bounds.
Exactly. It does not. No, it knows no bounds indeed.
This virus knows no bounds.
Oh, unemployment train for me. Hopefully get approved on that quickly. And then we'll go from there. You know what I mean? We'll see how it goes. The one thing that's nice about furlough is, you know, I still technically have a job and they're going to pay my benefits for the next 4 months. So I got my health insurance, which is nice because I have really good health insurance.
Yeah. So there you go. That's rough. But you're one of 6.6 million people now, I guess.
That's right.
Or it might be higher than that. So
yeah, by the time you're listening to this, it could be higher.
Oh, yeah.
It could be you.
10 million. It could be me, too. You never know. I doubt it, but...
No, not you. No, you as the listener.
Oh, yeah. The plural, the royal you.
The royal
I believe that
correct,
is.
Exactly.
Yes. So anyway, Matt, we've got a great show lined up for people. We do want to talk a little bit about the Dualsense controller. Ooh-wee. Dualsense, and we'll talk a lot about that. I have a funny feeling. We're going to talk a little bit about the CD ProjektRed in Cyberpunk 2077. We're going to talk a little bit about PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Godfall, and wrap it up with some see you soon and stuff like that. I think the majority of our time will probably be spent on the controller, to be quite honest. And we'll see what we get into from there. But just a hodgepodge of topics today. A little bit of news, not very much at all. And so I guess we'll just dive into it with what we always dive into, which is what we've been playing.
Well, I have been playing, Robert, Rocket League and Fortnite. Surprise, everyone. And then I don't remember if I had done this before last week's podcast or after, but I platinumed Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
After. That's definitely an after thing.
Okay, yeah. I platinumed Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And now I'm currently working on the story and probably platinum of Days Gone.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, I really am a man about town.
You are.
I downloaded
I like it.
Dirt Rally 2.0, but
I gotta do that.
To play it yet. So
yeah, I'm kind of curious to check that out. Mainly just for myself, for the fact that I've never played one of those, so I'd be curious to see what it's like.
Right. What have you been playing, Robert?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Matt. I finished Doom Eternal this week, and so I think I mentioned last week that I was close. And I've gone back and forth about whether I love it or hate it more than Doom 2016. I think in the end, I love certain parts of it more than Doom 2016, but I like the narrative of Doom 2016 better. I felt like I understood the story. Not that the story's hard to follow. It had more of a narrative. This one was very much, you got to read codexes. And while it is told to you, it's kind of, it's just there, right? It's an excuse. And so it's weird to be talking about a first-person shooter game having a weak narrative because they didn't used to have any narrative, right? It was like, go kill these
right.
guys and that's it. But I just thought 2016 did a much more relatable, much cooler job with it. So I enjoyed my time with it. I'm going to go back and get some more of the trophies. I'm not going to platinum it because I don't care enough, I think. But I am going to go back and clean up a couple of the trophies. I missed a couple of collectibles in like 3 levels. And so I'm going to put on the cheat codes for unlimited ammo, unlimited armor, and just go to town on everything and I have the weapon. I have like the best weapon in the game that you have to
Nice.
You have to complete all the secret challenges for. And so I used it the other day and I just ran through the level. Just everything got destroyed in a couple of shots. And it was just such a blast. I might play through some of the levels again just with those cheat codes just to have fun. But I've been doing that. I've been working on Neo 2. And since I finished Doom Eternal, I was like, I need kind of like something to balance out Neo 2 because that's a really intense game and it's really long and it's a lot of death over and over again. And sometimes it can be frustrating. So I want something when I'm still in the mood to play that I need to switch over to. So I started The Messenger, which is where you are a ninja whose town has been like attacked and you are going to deliver the scrolls to the mountain to save your village and save the world. And it starts off as like an 8-bit, or maybe it's 16-bit. I can't remember off the top of my head if it's 8-bit or 16-bit. And I should know that. Platformer, like side scroller.
Okay.
And apparently it gets absolutely bat crazy. And so I cannot wait to play it. It just goes apparently off the rails. Like it starts off as like this ninja game and gets into like really bizarre territory from what I've heard. It even switches like art styles. It goes from like either 18-bit to 16-bit or 16-bit to like something more modern. I really like it so far. I've only played about 25 minutes of it. I love it. The humor's spot on, right? It definitely is very self-referential, very aware of that it is a video game. And so I've really enjoyed it so far. And then I thought I'd play a little bit of, before I started that up though, I thought I'd try Untitled Goose Game because I heard it only took about 3 to 4 hours to finish.
Okay.
And you remember it won like Game of the Year, I think, for somebody's Game of the Year last year. And it was a big deal last year, right?
Yeah.
Like Untitled Goose Game was everywhere. And I bought it on a sale. And I gotta say, I get it. It's kind of a nice, it's a nice casual game if you need like a 2-hour break. But after about 2 hours of it, I didn't even want to finish the last area.
Really?
Yeah, it's just not, I mean, it's fun. I get it. But after a while, I just got tired of like hijinksing everybody in the town.
That's the problem, Robert. You're not a hijinkser.
I'm not a hijinkser. And so after a while, I was like, oh, great. I'll lock another person in the garage. That's funny. Like I've done this 4 times already. So it was just, I see why it's only like a 3-hour game because after 2 hours, I was kind of like, I'm done.
Sure.
So I'll probably go back and finish the last area.
Yeah.
But it's not something I'm going to go out of my way to probably ever play again. Right. It's not something I'll delete it the moment I'm done with it because it's just not worth it.
No replay value, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. And it might be actually, I think what might make it fun is the novelty of being able to play, like, watch somebody like my wife play or somebody like, Jillian that, hasn't played or doesn't play a whole lot of video games. I could see where that's kind of fun. Yeah. But beyond that, it's not really something that you want to like, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not something that I can see a serious gamer playing over and over and over again. It's just not that exciting and not that interesting. So I appreciate what they've done with it though. It's definitely a great game. I think that would be nice to have on your Switch, like if you had a bus ride.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. So that's my 2 cents on that. Sorry, it's overhyped, but whatever. All right.
Maybe it's just overhyped by the time you got to it.
It might have been. It might have been that too. It might have been like if I had the novelty of like discovering it, I would have been like, oh, this is kind of neat. I should tell other people about this. And I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
But now it has a reputation and it's kind of like, where.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh, well. And I'm not down on it. I give them props for making something. Again, it's just when I played it, I was like, oh, this like Olivia would love this, right? She would enjoy this. Jillian would love this. Like, my parents would probably get a kick out of it. My sister would, but I also could see one of those things where once you're done with it, you're done with it, right? And so if it's on sale, I'd say get it. It's worth it. And I know I'm talking about a game that's 6 months old now, but otherwise, I would say don't waste your time if you haven't played it yet. All right. Update our PSN watch for games. Matt, after this week, we are up to 226 on the PSN.
Wow.
Although this is one of those weeks where I think there's only 11 or 12 games releasing, but one of them, or 3 or 4 of them, I think are in a collection that you can buy or buy separately. So I don't know how to tally that. I guess I want to count them as separate games because I could just buy one of them.
Yeah, I would.
But when they're in a bundle, whatever. So we're up to 226 if they're counted separately. All right. Oh, by the way, my 5-hour game suggestion for this week, right? Game in a day, would be Untitled Goose Game.
Okay.
Because you can finish it easily in 3 to 4 hours. And so that is where it's a nice one. I played it and I was like, oh, good, I'm done with it. I can now move back to Neo or The Messenger.
Cool.
All right. Let's move on to some news. Just a bit brief of news. All right, Matt. So our first news story kind of kept changing throughout the week. So I wanted to include the whole thing because early on the week, Ali Salahali, he's a rendering engineer at Crytek, took part in an interview to discuss PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. It was in Persian, but a Persian Twitter user took it upon themselves to translate some of the quotes into English. And Sahali apparently was pretty smitten with the PS5. He said that it's, quote, the easiest console they've ever coded onto to reach its peak performance. He went on to say, quote, it's extremely simple and has so many abilities that make the devs so free. And he also ended up finishing one of those quotes by saying it is, quote, a better console than Xbox Series X. He also praised its ultra-fast SSD. Now, what I find interesting about all of this is that a few days later, that entire interview was taken down. He deleted all his tweets. The Persian Twitter user deleted their tweets. The article does not exist anymore on the internet. And so I'm not sure if he broke NDA, if he got yelled at, because he's a rendering engineer. So he's not exactly an exec at Crytek saying this.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if he got in some hot water. I don't know what happened, but that quote is no longer, you cannot find that news story anywhere apparently now.
Wow. Well, good on you for grabbing it early.
Well, luckily because of the age of the internet, it remained up just because of me, but other people kept it up.
Right.
But in the age of the internet, I thought that was interesting. And so what do you think? What do you think about that? Does that say anything? Does that kind of give us any kind of indication of, maybe that PS5 and other companies aren't ready to talk about their stuff yet?
I mean, maybe to a certain extent, but at the same time, it's nice to see that devs are liking the ease at which they can push the system to its extremes.
Yes.
So that means going to be like, bigger worlds, more beautiful worlds, that kind of stuff, faster load times, things like that, which go a long way in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it was, overall, even though he clearly crossed the line and saying some stuff he shouldn't have, it was nice to read it because it clearly gave us an indication of that the system is easy to develop for, and that all this big hullabaloo about how powerful PlayStation 5 is versus Xbox and the teraflops, that maybe, just maybe there's some hope that the PS5 might be actually a little bit better console out there. Not that I care either way, but
right.
I am a PlayStation fan, so it's kind of nice to hear that it's not being spit on, right, and rejected and going to underperform. And so it's kind of interesting because this is not the first time we've read something like this. And what I find fascinating is that PlayStation still has not come out and said anything to combat some of the comments. It's almost as if like they did that deep dive and they're like, oh, we showed them. And everybody was like, well, not really. We don't, we don't really get it. We trust you, but we really don't get it. So, but they haven't said anything different. So I don't know. It's good news, I guess.
Yeah. Well, here's one question I have to ask you. What do you think about them taking it down, or everything being erased and that part of that interview being like wiped?
Well, I mean, I think it definitely speaks to the fact that he probably overstepped his boundaries, and I do wonder, I guess maybe in this sense, if Sony asked them to take it down, or if it was more just Crytek, and Crytek was like, listen, dude, we can't be talking about PlayStation 5. They've asked us as we develop for it not to speak to anything until they have had their time to say something about it. And so I wonder if that's really all it is more than anything, is he kind of overstepped where PlayStation was, had asked them not to say anything, and Crytek kind of said, listen, you can't do this right now.
Right. That makes sense. Okay. Just wondering your thoughts.
Yeah. I think that's probably the more realistic situation than something where Sony stepped in and said something to him. So I think it's probably just they recognized he was in violation of that now. So I'd be curious to see, but it's not the first time we've heard this either. So I'm not quite sure what the problem is. So
yeah.
All right, moving on. In a statement sent to PC Gamer, you and I have often talked about ESA and E3. The ESA has confirmed that plans for an online E3 2020 event have been canceled. And I think last week we had talked about perhaps they were going to have one. But they actually came out and gave a statement that said, quote, given the disruption brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, we will not be presenting an online E3 2020 event in June. Instead, we will be working with exhibitors to promote and showcase individual company announcements, including on www.e3expo.com in the coming months, a spokesperson said. According to journalist Mike Futter, speaking as part of the Virtual Economy podcast, the ESA made a last-ditch effort to try and woo publishers for some kind of broadcast-based E3-esque show. They all politely declined. According to the presentation slide, production partners touted included both IGN and Good Morning America. Now, IGN also has their own summer blowout coming in June. I don't know if you saw that or not, and I believe that was announced this week as well. And so I can see why E3 did not get IGN, because IGN probably said, oh, that's okay. We got our own thing we're going to do, and we've got publishers lined up for this. We'll take care of it from here. What I do wonder is, if other publishers like Bethesda obviously aren't showing anything, and then you've got Ubisoft and stuff like that decided that they were either going to be part of IGN already, or if they just decided they're going to do their own showcase. And so I didn't know if that was you had any thoughts regarding that, because to me that further spells the end of E3, even though they announced the show next year. The fact that they couldn't get anybody to want to participate in a thing this year, it kind of spells, bad news for them going forward. Because how are you going to get people, if you can't get people to participate digitally this year, how are you going to get them to participate in physical space next year?
Right. When they can see how cheap that they can do things digitally this year.
Exactly. And so, or that companies like IGN, who has a huge reach with its readers and a website that people go to on a normal basis, let alone for, E3 related type stuff.
Right.
If people are going to go there anyway, why would you need E3 or ESA itself? So I thought that was interesting too. I think that really said a lot as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, well. All right. Moving on. So number 3, Matt, and I've wanted your take on this too, because we've talked about this in the past quite a bit. Marvel's Spider-Man is officially joining the roster of PlayStation Now games until the 7th of July, where it'll be available to both stream and download. It'll be joined by Just Cause 4 until October 6th, and Golf Club 2019, which has no time limit. So there's no rush for you to run out and get a round in. But what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, it's a good move on their part with people being home and, them offering really high-end games right now. I don't know. Seems pretty smart to me.
Yeah. What do you think of Spider-Man joining? Is that a little bit more appealing if you were to have not played it already to want to sign up for the service?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I'm saying, if you look at the games that they've taken care of in the past, added and, taken away in the past few months, there's Horizon Zero Dawn on there, obviously Spider-Man now. So it seems like they're kind of pushing towards that kind of, we want our AAA games up there on PlayStation Now for you guys to play it earlier than, we want to give them away for free.
Yeah. I think it's really appealing. Like it's actually becoming more and more appealing to me to want to, if I didn't have such a backlog already, PS Now is really starting to hit the spot where I kind of still wish they would roll it in with your PlayStation Plus subscription.
Yeah.
Like charge me, so instead of $60 a year, charge me $70. Charge me an extra $10 and I would gladly pay that, to have PS Now.
I don't know if they could do it that low. I mean,
no,
I think 100 is the lowest. That makes sense.
So would you sign up at 100?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because it's 100 for the year now, right?
Yeah. No, it's $9.99. Well, I guess I can't do math. $9.99 a month, but what is it for the year? Is it 100 for the year?
Yeah, I think if you get the whole year, it's 100.
Oh, they have a bundle?
I believe so.
Let's look this up. I should have looked this up ahead of time. Obviously, you could tell we don't use this service or have any interest in it based on, you know what I mean? Based on our understanding of the pricing system. Actually, a 12-month subscription is $59.99.
Oh, so yeah, 60.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so getting PS Plus for a year and PlayStation Now for a year.
So 60/40.
Would totally be worth 100, don't you think?
Yeah, I suppose so. I can see that. I can see the appeal in that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, either $10 a month or 60 for the year as is right now. If they knock that down by 33% and give you PS Plus and for 100, I mean, I don't think that's bad.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I would like to see it though. I think that would really do well.
Yeah, and I think also then they could make PS Plus like a subscription service, right? Like as it is right now. Do people have like auto renew? I don't know. I feel like I've purchased so many years in advance that I don't know. Can you just set it up to renew automatically?
Yes.
Okay. So it is kind of already like a subscription service anyways.
Yeah. How would you feel if they took your PS Plus games away and instead gave you access to PS Now and charged you $60 a year?
It really just depends on what kind of games they brought to PS Now.
Yeah, well, I mean, based on what they're doing right now.
Yeah. I mean, based on what they're doing right now, I wouldn't say that's a terrible trade-off.
No, because Spider-Man's way newer than, say, Uncharted 4.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, if you're looking at it that way.
Yeah.
Or Horizon Zero Dawn, right, was on there. Or Persona 5.
Right. Control was just on there. Shadow of Tomb Raider.
And you can download those games, right? You can download Spider-Man. So, you talk about the argument might be, well, what about people who have a poor internet connection? They can't stream the games. But if you let me download the games just like you're doing for PS Plus, and PS Plus, they have to check the internet every once in a while in order to have that license still.
Yeah.
What's the matter if, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because right now, the new games for March were Control, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and Wolfenstein 2, New Colossus. Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty dang good. Mm-hmm. And I think Colossus is the only one that doesn't have a timeline on it. I think the other ones are available till August, end of August. So, I mean, I don't know. I would be fine with that trade-off, honestly.
I would too. And so, I don't know if they'll do that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. I mean, even if it was, say, even $20 more, like $80, I feel like I'd still be okay with that.
Yeah, I think I might be too, because especially only if, and again, this is what it comes down to, right? Because we talking about this now. It only matters though if they're really gonna continue to give us something good every month. So, don't give me garbage games, right? On now, and then expect me to pay $80 a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, as long as you're willing to do that, I'm fine with that. Just a thought. I mean, just a thought experiment, right? I'd like to see how people would react to that, because I think I would be okay with that, because it would, as long as you're adding games regularly.
Yeah, exactly.
That would also be a way, I think, to top Game Pass, because I think Game Pass right now is a great value. I know it diminishes publisher and developer control in some way, and maybe physical sales or digital sales even, and could have a long-term effect where it doesn't help anybody. But I think for right now, that's still a worthwhile proposition.
Yeah, for sure.
Continue on. Number 4. And this is kind of something I'm excited about. Streets of Rage 4. Did you play Streets of Rage back in the day?
I did, yeah, a little bit.
Streets of Rage 4 is coming out. It leaked supposedly an April 26th date of this month. However, the publisher then issued a brief statement as that was pulled down and said, "We are aware that some of you have seen a release date leaked this afternoon. Right now, we cannot confirm it yet, and we apologize for the confusion. We'll keep you updated as needed." And so it's coming soon, hopefully. Limited Run Games also has an open pre-order on it. That's pretty cool. If you get a chance to check that out, head over there. But what I really am excited about, Matt, with Streets of Rage 4 is that they did announce in a trailer called the Retro Trailer that you can play a dozen playable fighters from all of the previous games, as well as use the music from Streets of Rage 1 and 2 as you play the game. And
That's
so
cool.
If you're like me and you grew up playing that series over and over again, you'll have an opportunity to really go retro with the old music as well as the old characters as well.
Nice.
All right, number 5. We have, Matt, our first next-gen machine remaster.
Ooh.
Blooper Team, who made Observer, teased a remaster of it on his Twitter account this past week called Observer System Redux. Although PlayStation 4 games are supposed to be backwards compatible with PlayStation 5, right? Or at least most of them, according to Mark Cerny.
Right.
We did get our first announcement, and I wanted to know, I guess I wanted to kind of feel you out on this. How do you feel about A, them announcing a remaster before the systems are even out, and B, them announcing a remaster with it being backwards compatible?
Silly at best.
Yeah, I kind of felt that way too. Like, really? Do I need this? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to agree. It just seems excessive.
It does. It seems almost like a waste, doesn't it?
Yeah, waste of time. I mean,
yeah.
If it's backwards compatible and it'll work fine, then what's the difference?
Yep. Agreed. Glad you saw it my way on that. Yeah. So I appreciate it. And I get it that maybe it'll take advantage of, because I played a little bit of the Observer and I really liked it. I know didn't light the world on fire, but I could see where they would use haptic feedback and some of the voice controls and some of the new DualSense controller experience options and the 3D audio that's been talked so much about with PlayStation 5. I could see where they use that to kind of upgrade the experience, but I also don't think it's necessarily needed for a game like that either. I feel like that is kind of silly to have that as a remaster already. And I think it's something that is silly to announce so early on. I mean, I guess it works in a way because it's going to be probably a launch title game, but I don't think we need it. And I don't know how I feel about, so here's my deal with the remasters. And I think this is something that we could talk about another time on this podcast. With the remasters, what I have appreciated is that Resident Evil 3 and 2 and Final Fantasy 7 have all added new stuff to their remasters. They've changed some of the gameplay. They've changed the style. They've changed some of the smaller story aspects. And so if you're going to remaster a game, I think it's fine to do it that way. Speaking of remasters, though, Matt, and release games, you and I both, you sent me a tweet about this, or not a tweet, goodness, a text about this. And we talked about it a little bit, I think, offline. But CD ProjektRed plans on supporting Cyberpunk 2077 post-release with downloadable content. Developer had previously said that the game will follow a similar path to The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, which received 2 large expansions within the space of 13 months after launch in 2015. And they said that they also confirm at least 2 expansions for Cyberpunk 2077, which will be revealed before the game's release on the 17th of September in 2020, which they promise they'll be confident they'll still hit that date. And this ties into the story you sent me, because Cyberpunk also determined or announced that they were going to make sure that whether the game is delayed or not doesn't matter, because there is no PlayStation 5 version coming or Xbox Series X version coming right away.
Yeah.
That is something possibly down the road, they said, but not something that they plan on bringing anytime soon.
And that's smart.
It is smart, because what better way to alienate your audience than to make me buy something in September and then announce in October that there's a better version of it?
Yeah, exactly.
No, thank you.
Plus, also, focus on getting the game out in general, yes, as opposed to trying to work, to support it to a new system. Make sure that you have all that stuff together, and then also those expansions, right?
Yes.
I mean, the Witcher ones were pretty big, right?
Yeah, they're. I believe that the first one took upwards of 15, 20 hours. I actually started it and I didn't finish it.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and the second one took upwards of 15, 20 hours, if I remember correctly as well.
Yeah, that's a lot of gameplay.
It's a lot of gameplay. It's a lot of Witcher.
Yeah. So there's about to be a lot of Cyberpunk as well, and I want them to get it right, as opposed to worried about PS5 or Xbox Series X.
Right. Agreed 100%. So we'll see what happens there. I'll be curious to see if that will, because this is the first time they've kind of hinted that there may be a next-gen version, because previously they had kind of ignored that talk, right? And so I do wonder how much that will impact people's pre-orders, if at all. However, they also did bring up that if you buy it on Xbox, you'll get the PlayStation 5, or the Xbox Series X version for free.
Okay, that's cool.
Did you remember that story popping up?
I do not remember that.
Yeah, they said that they can't say anything about Sony because Sony has to come out and say that first. But they said if you buy it on Xbox One and you'll for that system, if they release a Xbox Series X version of it later, you can upgrade for free.
Okay, cool.
I'd like to see that for PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, but ultimately that's going to be up to Sony, and I hope Sony does not botch that.
You're right.
We'll see. All right. 2 more pieces of news, and then we're going to get into, or 3 quick pieces of news, and then we're getting into the DualSense and our reactions. Number 7, Danganronpa is going to celebrate its 10th anniversary in Japan this November, and developer Spike Chunsoft appears to have a lot in store for fans. So starting next month, the Japanese studio will host a monthly news broadcast, which is going to reveal all sorts of surprises. They're going to have more details at the Famitsu and Dengeki Game Awards, on April 18th. And they also have, I guess, merch and collaborations and more in store. So if you're a Danganronpa fan or ever played those, I played a couple of them. Look forward to some news over the next few months leading up to its 10th anniversary in November. Number 8, PlayStation 4 version Godfall will not happen as the game is, quote, being tailored to run on Sony's new console. On Sony's new console, end quote. So that means basically that developer Counterplay Games is promising an experience that will feel and play unlike anything else available. And that if you want to get in on PlayStation, I think it's PlayStation exclusive. Maybe it's time exclusive. I don't know. I have to look and see. Godfall, you're going to have to get a PlayStation 5. I wanted your thoughts on that because that is the first game, I think, that I can recall being announced for PlayStation that is solely PlayStation 5.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely an Xbox game as well.
Oh, is it? Okay. I could not remember.
Yeah, the platform says PlayStation 5 and Microsoft. Well, it says Microsoft Windows. So I guess technically that's PC and not Xbox Series X.
Yeah. So,
but
yeah, that's kind of a weird sticky space.
Yeah. When I see Windows, I'm like, well, I mean, that's still Microsoft. So I don't really see it as an exclusive when it says that, right?
Right.
Because Microsoft makes Xbox. So I don't know.
Right.
Either way. But yeah, I mean, why not let it be an exclusive for the new gen?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited by that because that means we're finally going to get, there won't be anything holding it back. You know, it won't be running on almost 7-year-old hardware. I can't talk.
Right.
And so I'm kind of excited about that because that means that we'll get the full potential of what that game is or can be.
Right. Let's just hope it's a good game.
Yeah. Yeah. And so just to read a little bit further into that, I didn't read this, but this news story came via PlayStation Magazine, official PlayStation Magazine. And what I'm excited about it is it says it's been inspired by fantasy novels, the Stormlight Archive, which I've never read or know about. And the gameplay structure will best resemble Monster Hunter World and Dark Souls, with a little bit of mix of some ex-Destiny 2 team members also involved. And so you'll be able to drop in and drop out with co-op, choose a class style based on the type of armor you select, plenty of room for personalization, and you'll be rewarded for playing aggressively.
Cool.
Kind of like Bloodborne, it sounds like a little bit to me.
Yeah.
Right? Like Bloodborne meets Monster Hunter World, because Bloodborne, you had to play aggressively if you wanted to get anything back.
Yeah.
But so we'll see. I'm excited. It looked great in some of the snippets we've seen of it. So hopefully it will stay on track and come out with the console. All right, Matt, last but not least, I'm so tired of reading about this. I didn't even want to include this as part of the news because I'm just so tired of this rumor bouncing back and forth, especially when Konami itself came out and said, we are not working on anything at the moment, but we have it in mind. There is now a new Silent Hill rumor going around. So follow me on this. Follow me on this journey, Matt. I'm going to take you on a little journey with this. So supposedly, Japan's studio is working on a series reboot for Konami, with Gravity Rush creator Kiichiro Toyama directing the project. He started his career working on Silent Hill, so it fits. Artist Masahiro Ito and composer Akira Yamaoka are also said to be involved. There's also speculation that Silent Hills, with an S, will be making a comeback, revived recently by Instagram images posted by manga artist Suhiro Maru. These appear to be separate projects at the moment, and it's unclear how they're connected or if they even exist at all. But he tweeted out a picture of Silent Hills like a tombstone and then him walking into Konami's office. Now, according to rumor monger Dusk Golem, writing on Reset Era, the title has been in production for about 18 months over at Sony, where they're rebooting Silent Hills. The story goes that Konami was looking for a partner and Toyama wanted to return to horror. Sony is footing the project's bill, but it believes brand recognition gives this title a better shot at success than, say, a Siren sequel. Konami will get a percentage of the profits. Apparently, the reboot will be announced this year, presumably alongside PlayStation 5's slate of in-development software. And there's just too much going on for this to make any kind of sense, but also for it to not be true in some sense too.
Yeah.
And so I'm really confused by all of this, but apparently there's a Silent Hill reboot out there somewhere. Apparently it does exist either in one form. What really strikes me as bizarre here is that Sony supposedly is working on one, but then Konami might be working on one. I don't know. I'm tired of reading about it. I'm tired of writing about it. I'm tired of talking about it. Either announce a freaking reboot or don't announce anything at all. I just wanted to throw that out there, Matt. Are you excited about Silent? Yeah. Did you play Silent Hills? Did we talk about this in the past?
Yeah, I played it like once at your house, and I was like, this is too scary.
Silent Hills or the demo or the PT demo or the actual Silent Hills?
Well, the regular Silent Hill back in the day.
Oh, I don't remember that. You played it at my house.
Yeah, that infamous Red Baron sleepover.
Oh, the Red Baron. Okay, that's a long story we will not go into here. But yes. All right. Now it makes so much sense. How could I have forgotten that? Goodness. All right. So, Matt, that wraps it up for the news.
Oh, snap.
And so what I wanted to touch on next here for you and me is the DualSense controller.
Ooh-wee.
We got our first look at it. We got a lot of information about it this week as well. And so I thought what we could do is talk about our first impressions a little bit, as well as some of the features as well. And so let me run down a quick checklist of some of the features. How's that?
Yeah, do that first.
Let's hit that up first. So first and foremost, they have, of course, we've heard about this a bunch, the adaptive triggers for the L2 and R2 buttons. So you can feel the tension of actions like drawing a bow to shoot an arrow or anything like that, right? They also touched us a little bit of information, a little bit more about how not only do they have the adaptive triggers, but they wanted to make sure that the PlayStation 5 controller wasn't bulky. And so while it looks a little bit bigger than a DualShock 4 and the typical PlayStation DualShock controllers, and they had to redraw some of the lines of the exterior controller, right? In the end, they basically said they changed the angle of the hand triggers, made some subtle updates to the grip, which I thought was kind of glossed over in a lot of articles I read. And they wanted to maintain a strong battery life of DualSense rechargeable battery. So it also has a rechargeable battery. But overall, what they wanted to do was lessen the weight of the controller. And so my takeaway from that is it's going to be heavier, but not much heavier. There's also no longer a share button. And there is now a create button instead. And so they're going to give us more details on that. It also has a built-in microphone array, which will enable players to easily chat with friends without a headset for quick conversation. Colors. It's two-tone design. They've changed the position of the light bar to give it an extra pop. So instead of sitting on top of the controller, it's now on the side of each side of the touchpad, which means the touchpad is not going away either. This is the final design. They went over hundreds of mock-ups, they told us in the article as well on the PlayStation blog. They felt that they have great ergonomics in terms of being grip. And he also mentioned lastly, Jim Ryan also mentioned lastly that they want this to be transformative for the games that we play. And so those are just some of the light pieces of information that were shared. One thing that I noticed looking at it that I want to bring up before we talk about our reactions to it is if you look at the analog sticks and the material that the analog sticks is made out of, it looks like a much sturdier material. And I also want to point out that the D-pad looks a lot like the D-pad on the PlayStation Vita, which is very different from the D-pad on the DualShocks right now. So really? I wanted your impressions.
I love it. It looks sexy AF.
Now, when you love it, do you love the design? What do you love about it?
I love everything about it. The design, the dual colors, the light bar. The one thing I will say that I do not like about it, mainly because I just remembered about it now. One, I don't like the fact that it looks like that the buttons aren't colored. That was a common complaint online that I saw this week. A small little touch, but also remember what we talked about months and months ago with the addition of the adapter for the DualShock 4. We thought that there would be back buttons.
Yes, and there are none, Matt.
And there are none, Robert. You're right. So I'm a little disappointed by that. And it also doesn't look like you can even, maybe it's hidden by the angles of the pictures, but it doesn't even look like you can have the same kind of a port that the current DualShocks have that would even be able to let you use that again.
I did read somewhere that it is a USB-C port.
Okay, right. Which is on top.
Yes.
So maybe they'll come out with something that you can kind of, attach in a different way. I don't know. But that's my one little disappointment that I just remembered now. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it looks really good. I think it's really smart design as far as it just looks kind of like sleek and sexy. I don't know. I like the white on black. I think that's really great. People are saying like, oh, it's going to get dirty. I mean, I don't know. I love the Alpine color combination for the DualShock. I loved having that white one until I literally busted it into the ground.
Well, I do want to point out something about the dirtiness because I want to know what people are handling their controller with after playing, when they're playing a game. Because I personally never handle my things if I've been eating food. I always wipe my hands. I clean my hands off. Like, what are you doing with your controllers that you're talking about getting dirty?
I 100% agree. I am of the same mindset where that's exactly what I do. I make sure that my hands are clean before I'm going to, even if I have I'm having chips or something like that, I don't really snack a whole lot while I'm playing games because it is, keeping my hands occupied and my mind focused. So, I don't really have dirty hands most of the time going into it.
Yeah, that really, really bothered me. People were like, oh, it's going to get so dirty. And I saw joking pictures of Doritos stains all over it. And I was like, what are y'all doing with your controllers? I never handle my controllers that way. None of my controllers are filthy. I use my limited edition blue 500 million one. Other than, and I'm looking at it right now, other than a little dust around the analog sticks for me using the analog sticks too much. And I'm probably grinding something away inside. It's clean and pristine. Yeah.
Right.
So what are you doing with your shock controllers? So sorry, continue on.
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, I really, I really like it. I think looks really well done. And I'm excited to see how it feels in my hand and how it feels when I play the game. Because obviously it's DualSense for a reason, right? They really went at the sense of touch and how that's going to play into game immersion. So I'm really excited about it.
And I do want to talk about that because they decided not to call it the DualShock controller. They decided to call it the DualSense. And I wanted your thoughts on the name change too.
No, I think it's smart. I think it gives you exactly the idea of what they want from out of the controller, right? It's about the senses, about the five
engaging
senses.
all your senses. Yeah,
exactly. Right. I mean, the only sense that's really not going to be engaged unless you haven't showered in a while is the sense of smell. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, they're talking about how they want to revolutionize the audio, revolutionize the touch. I mean, so I mean, obviously, taste wouldn't be. I mean, unless you're sucking on it, but yeah, I mean, to have those, sight, touch, and sound all kind of at its peak will certainly help with immersion of gameplay, being immersed in the game.
Yeah, agreed.
What about you? I mean, what have you thought?
The other thing that I want to run by that I'm kind of curious to see what people think about in this regard too, because this is something that also stuck out to me, is I want to know what the place, because I love it. I love the white and the black two-tone thing. And I saw a lot of great mock-up designs that were really good too. And I know a lot of people have an issue with the color scheme. I actually really am fine with the white. Wasn't the Destiny 2 PlayStation 4 bundle all white?
Yes, I believe so.
So I really like the white design, and I actually think it's great because a couple of things. I think everything about this speaks to how serious Sony is about this being a generational leap, and about how this is about going to be a new gaming experience. Maybe games won't change, and maybe how we play games doesn't change necessarily, but I think this is they're trying to sell how much of an improvement this will be from PlayStation 4 or from anything we've had in the past. And so I think renaming it reminds us of that, takes away the DualShock, says this is a new gen. I think the two-tone color says we're ready for a new gen. I think the colors are perfect because if you look at a lot of your PlayStation 4 boxes, they are white, they are blue, and they don't necessarily have the black in them. I know the consoles are traditionally black, and so maybe it's just a nod to PlayStation, right? I love that the PlayStation home button is a PlayStation symbol without a round button. I really enjoy that. I like the D-pad. The D-pad looks like the Vita D-pad, which is amazing. I love the Vita D-pad. I also really enjoy, and so I'm going to have some criticisms here in a minute. I also really enjoy the fact that this probably hints at the color of the console.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned that because I was just looking up the article that came across my feed earlier this week. It's Let's Go Digital did a mock-up of like what they think the console is going to look like based on the controller design, and it looks ridiculously good.
I think no matter what, we're getting a white console.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way we don't. There's no way we don't, I mean, you know?
I mean, it would be kind of weird for them to have like an almost all white controller and then not have a white or some kind of version of black and white.
Right. And so I definitely see, I think, us getting a white console, which I'm totally fine with. I love the idea of a white console. And I know a lot of people are upset with that again, but I think it looks great. So we'll see.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I don't mind. The thing I have right now, as far as my TV stand and things like that, it's all white with like blue with aqua accents, so it will just blend right in.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. I think it'll look great no matter what. So we'll see what happens. But what else? Oh, so we're getting a white console, I think, and I'm fine with that. My one criticism, as you mentioned, I think I do miss kind of the colors on the buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Although I was looking at my 500,000 or 500 million limited edition thing, and they're light blue. They're not different colors.
Yeah. I mean, it obviously fits the aesthetic of everything else, but, you know, I don't know. It's just nitpicky. Again, it's not really like...
No, it's not a huge issue. I'm not over here whining and crying about it. I just...
Right.
I noticed that. Like on my limited edition, they're all the same color. And so there's not... You know, they're all light blue. So there's not something with the limited edition where it's like, oh, man, we've never had this before with this new controller the way that they are. So we'll see. I
mean, we haven't had it in the sense that the originals, you know what I mean? There's the controller that's coming with it. But I mean, if you look at all of the special edition ones, they are different in some way. Like I have like the special edition Darth Vader ones. The buttons are different colors because of that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like even the buttons themselves, not even like the design on the button, you know.
My biggest criticism, actually, truthfully, and I can't even take credit for this. I'm sorry. I don't remember who I read this to. It might have been on Twitter, I believe. And I apologize if you're listening to the show and I forgot to give you credit, let me know. I did see someone say, how am I supposed to explain those two little buttons, which is we commonly know as the share and the options button. How am I supposed to explain what those are to a non-gamer with those symbols? And so I don't know if you noticed that or not, but ultimately that was one of the big issues that I took away with it.
I don't know. I think with what's going on, I would say that the one on the right-hand side makes sense, right? The three lines, you see that symbol all the time on your phone.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
You know what I mean? I don't know why you would have to explain that one to a non-gamer. The create button, I mean, I can understand it. It looks like you're beaming things out from the controller, right? You're sharing or creating from the controller. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess so.
But as far as the one on the right, three lines, I mean, if you don't know what the hell that means, you're an idiot.
Well, so you said you see that all the time on your phone?
Yeah.
Interesting.
You don't see that on mobile optimized websites? The pop-out menu?
I guess
it's so ingrained in your brain you don't realize that you see it every day.
Probably.
That's how much it's already ingrained in your brain that you're not realizing that you see it.
Probably.
If you opened up your iPhone right now,
I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you open up an app on your iPhone right now,
and what am I looking for?
The three lines.
Yeah, but where specifically?
Well, it's wherever a pop-out menu would be. So, like, you know. I've
got three dots. Yeah. So like if I go to YouTube, for example, it's three dots.
Right.
And so like even if I go to any other website, let's say I go to the one that's tracking COVID-19 that I constantly open up, it's three dots. Okay. So yours might be lines, mine's dots.
Sure.
But I do see your point. Yeah. Okay.
But it's something you see on a regular basis.
That's true.
Like if I go not to plug my whole company, but if you go to the Yelp app, at the very bottom right, there's a button that says more, and it's three lines.
Yeah. And that is fair. You should be plugging our company, by the way, the podcast, but I'll deduct it from your paycheck.
Well, I mean, I'm sure, I bet you if you went to our website on mobile that you would see those 3 lines.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. Yeah, and I didn't think about that. That is very true. So I guess maybe they are perhaps pulling from there. And so, again, though, I think I'd be curious to show that to some people who are not gamers, like my wife, and say, what do these 3 lines? What do you think these 3 lines do? Right.
I just went to our website, and at the top right, there's 3 lines, and it says menu.
Yeah, and even at the top of Sony's PlayStation blog, right? You click on that in the top right corner, that menu drops down, and you can choose from different things.
It's a menu. It's a menu button.
Yeah, so that is true, and well deserved. And so I think that's something maybe as you said, so ingrained in our brains, but also I think because of the way we treat gaming and controllers as separate experiences, it didn't immediately jump to mind for me, nor for a lot of people, I'm sure.
Well,
and so I think that's part of the trick.
How many times do you game on your phone? I mean, I see. I mean, even in games on your phone, I mean, you see that.
I don't game on my phone, so that's probably why.
Like even on Samsung, like if you want to like look up all your apps or like all the recently opened apps that you've had, there's 3 lines on the bottom of the screen. Now they're vertical as opposed to horizontal, but.
Yeah, I am curious to see like the little button that is below the PlayStation. There's two things below the PlayStation button. One is like a little horizontal line. The other one looks like a little LED type light. I am kind of curious to see how those function.
No. So what that is that's the horizontal line is a light, I believe, and then underneath that is the microphone.
Oh man, I had to zoom in. My apologies. I did have to zoom in.
Yeah.
So that is the microphone. I wonder if that is a light. Yeah, it looks like a light bar, I guess.
It's probably lights up when you're using the mic.
Chatting.
Yeah.
I will say, though, have you looked at, and I don't know if you saw what I'm talking about, have you looked at the design of their analog sticks? They look much sturdier.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now I see it texturized when you see the side view.
Yeah. They look real good.
Yeah, the head-on view, you can't really tell, but then, that one looks real good.
Yeah, they look real good. So overall, I'm excited. I think that this means that Sony will be revealing the console probably, I'd like to pretend next month, that this is our taste for the month. And then next month, they reveal the console. And then come July, they reveal maybe some sort of blowout on, or June, some sort of blowout on it.
Yeah, I mean, we have really had something each month, right?
Yeah. And they said they would do stuff throughout 2020. And so I don't think anybody's really picked up on that yet. But it seems like almost every month, and I might be wrong, and you can correct me, please, at me if you want it. We are 1, you are 2 on Twitter. But it looks like we're going to get something a little bit each month.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. All right. Anything else you want to say about that?
Can't wait. I just can't wait for it.
I can't either. And I do want a custom lab design, color design thing. I want people to be able to upload. I don't know if I said this to you online or not. I want people to be able to upload their designs and us be able to purchase, like not purchase their design, but, apply their design to our controller to purchase.
Well, I mean, that's what skins are.
Yeah, I want that. But I don't want skins. I like it actually printed on the controller.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I know what you're saying, but I mean, that's how they get around that with skins.
Yeah.
Even some of the designs, I think you sent me the Cyberpunk one, which looked pretty beastly.
Yes, that was amazing looking. So I would love that. So we'll see. All right, Matt. That wraps it up for that. Let's move on, shall we?
Yeah, to see you soon.
See you soon. All right, so we've got, I believe I said 11 games this week. Would you like to go first or would you like me to go first?
I'm going to have you go first, Robert.
All right. Matt's got something up his sleeve. AFL Evolution 2 PS4 Digital.
We definitely read that last week, but continue.
Oh, did we?
100%.
Okay, yeah, this is a new list, but yeah, I think you're right. I think you read this last week.
Yeah, remember Guernsey Creator. You'll see.
The evolution continues, a true reflection of the modern AFL game. Pursue your goals with greater depth, improved drafts, free agency, and state leagues. Includes Guernsey Creator. Oh, there it is. You sure it wasn't just AFL Evolution instead of AFL Evolution 2? I'm going to have to look. Player and team management. Create, share online on FanHub. Play head-to-head and top the leaderboard or team up with 8 mates online.
I just looked. If you looked on the last week's, the April 9th is crossed out and says April 16th.
Oh, there we go. Boo. So I'm going to have to subtract one.
All right. Up next, we got Blind Men, PS4, PS Vita, digital cross-buy. Can Keegan make a name for himself, or will he fall victim to the charms of his enemy? As the nephew of a retired supervillain, there's nothing Keegan wants more than to become one himself. And what better way than to join the League of Evil? All he needs to do is commit a crime to complete this application.
I might check that out on Vita. That sounds stupid good.
That sounds ridiculous. Commit a crime to complete his application. That's nuts.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be great if it was like you literally had to fill out an application as part of the game?
Right. Yeah.
All right, we'll see. Crash and the Boys Street Collection, or Street Challenge, I'm sorry. PS4 digital up April 16th. So coming from the city of Spring Hill, Crash and his friends have chosen to take on Todd's Sports Challenge. But for the 5 entering teams, the trials aren't your usual athletic disciplines. Pole vault is used to jump between building rooftops. Golf is played with a throwing hammer. The 400-meter hurdle allows your opponents anything to hinder your performance. Come on and show Todd the spirit of Spring Hill's sportsmen.
Interesting.
Now, what's weird about that is the image says Double Dragon and Kunio-kun Retro Brawler Bundle.
Right. See, I was confused about this whole thing because if you look through the list, there's no actual bundle listed. It's just these individual games. So that's why I'm a little bit confused, but we'll continue.
What is going on over there, Sony? All right.
Up next, we are at Double Dragon, PS4 digital, out April 16th. The explosive original game that sparked the worldwide fame of Beat Them All Games, Double Dragon. In order to rescue your girlfriend, Marion, use your legendary fighting style, Sosetsuken, to make your way through the street thugs. Make good use of the new techniques you will unlock as you level up and rescue Marion.
All right. So the only thing that bothers me about that is that they called them beat 'em all games. Are they afraid to call them beat 'em ups? Because I thought that's really what they were. All right. Not to be outdone, though, Double Dragon 2 is also out this week. The second episode of Billy and Jimmy's saga, Double Dragon 2, The Revenge. The Lee brothers are back to avenge the death of Marion at the hands of the Shadow Warriors. Fight your way through street gangs, ninjas, giant mutant fighters, as well as spiked ceilings and mechas with sharp claws by using the newly acquired Hyper Uppercut or the Flying Knee Kick.
Okay. Up next, we got Double Dragon 3, PS4 digital, out April 16th. Another episode of the Lee Brothers saga. The third episode and the most famous of the series. Travel around the world searching for the Marion, that's right, and the Rosetta Stone, as both went missing. This time, not only Billy and Jimmy are playable, as the strong opponents you defeat can rally your cause and become playable. A content-rich adventure for this third Double Dragon game.
Interesting. All right. Fishing Sim World Pro Tour Collector's Edition, PS4 digital, retail out April 15th. Compete in career mode against over 100 pro anglers to become the best in the world. Play your way in custom multiplayer and online tournaments whilst using equipment from over 50 partners on real-world venues targeting 29 different species of fish.
Ooh, cool. All right, up next we got Freak Out Calamity TV Show. PS4 digital, out April 17th. Freak Out Calamity TV Show is a juicy top-down dual-stick shooter inspired by old-school arcade games and more recent die and retry shooters. In a disturbed dystopia filled with mutants and killing machines, you're the star of a reality show which might get a bit too real. Fight your way through the deadly enemy waves, join the revolution, and try to take down the evil Fizzy Corp.
All right. Interesting. Another top-down dual stick shooter.
Interesting.
May have to dig it out. All right. Renegade. The gem, by the way, these are all part of this retro brawler bundle, so I don't know what's going on here. The gem of side-scrolling beat 'em up gets its revival. Be the one to make all these lawless street gangs bite the dust. To preserve peace in the city, Mr. K takes a stand against the street gangs. The amazing action game is back to life, and you wouldn't believe this is 8-bit action.
What's funny is your brain automatically switched it to beat them. It's from beat them all to beat 'em ups.
Oh, did I say beat 'em ups?
You said beat 'em ups, and it's beat them all.
Oh, no, it says the gem of this side-scrolling beat them all gets its revival.
The one thing I was thinking about that is maybe it's the fact that it's the translation.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like in America, we say beat 'em ups. But yeah. Anyways, all right. This is the reason I had you go first. River City Ransom, PS4 digital out April 16th. This was my favorite game on Nintendo. Oh, I love this game. Play as Alex and Ryan and cross River City to fight street gangs and save your girlfriend from the hands of a bad guy named Slick. Improve your fighting experience by powering up your characters in River City shops, picking up items for bonuses, and using the trash bins and pipes you find in its streets. You know what I love about that game? You learn new things by reading.
Yeah.
You buy books, read the books, and then you have a new skill.
Yeah, I think they did that in River City Girls, if I remember correctly.
Probably.
You really should check that out. It's if you love River City Ransom that much, River City Girls is really good.
Awesome.
And it's like an 8 to 10 hour game at most.
Yeah.
All right. In Spider Solitaire F, which is the game I'm reading, Spider Solitaire F, I jumped straight to the description. We have prepared challenges that range from easy to very challenging. There are a total of 100 sets to solve. For those learning how to play, there's a hint function, and you can also go one back in moves. Spider Solitaire F is perfect for calm and relaxing moments. We hope it will be an enjoyable challenge. Yeah,
nice.
That's it. That's it for Pit.
Crazy.
Yeah. Matt.
Yes, Robert.
I'm ready to go game. I've got Final Fantasy VII blowing up my Twitter feed, tempting me. And as if that wasn't bad enough, I downloaded the free dynamic theme or free theme.
Oh, yeah.
For playing the demo, which you can get till May 12th. So go play the demo, or even I don't even have to play the demo. If you download the demo, I think you get the.
I mean, I definitely downloaded the demo.
I think you get. Have you played it yet?
No.
Check it out. It takes you less than an hour, probably 25 minute demo, maybe 30 minutes. I might be wrong. I can't remember. But
it's like a 3-hour demo.
No, it's definitely not. I sat there and I played it, and I remember I almost finished. I was about 35, 40 minutes in maybe. And I was like, I got to go to bed. So I went to bed. I knew it was near the end. I fired it back up. I walked up like some steps or something, and the demo ended. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I should have just waited another like 2 minutes.
Nice.
And so it's definitely worth it. I wouldn't be surprised if I wind up with Final Fantasy VII Remake at some point playing it, because I loved that game as a kid. I love the way that they've reinvigorated it and changed it around for a modern audience. And I'm amazed how many people are playing it for the first time and loving it. And I think if you didn't like turn-based combat of the original, you'll really enjoy this because it's much more action-based. And the turn-based is pretty much gone from it.
Right. Okay.
And so I would recommend you check it out. Everybody check it out. I saw that it, on PSN Profiles already has 8,500 players playing it this week, which is pretty high because a lot of games on PSN Profiles usually have like 2,000, 2,500 people playing at most.
Plus, I mean, there's all that like issues with like shortages of copies and things like that.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Cool.
I can't wait to see final sale numbers. I bet it's in the at least 3 to 5 million range for the first week.
Yeah, I bet.
All right, Matt. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Remember,
thanks for having me, Robert.
You're welcome. You can find us on your favorite podcasting service of your choice. You can find us on CastBox, Patreon, Podbean, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Play. If I'm not somewhere or we're not somewhere, Stitcher, let us know. I'll make sure we're on there. Please, though, share with your friends. We have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/weare1ur2. If you want to donate over there, you're welcome to do so. If not, don't worry. We'll be fine. We'll survive. But we would love to do more for you. So until next time, game on.
Game on. River City Ransom outro music. I don't know the name of the bundle, but I'm looking it up real quick. Hold on one second. I'm gonna be there in just a second. As soon as I scroll down, Double Dragon and Cooney O'Coon Retro Brawler bundle outro music. That was really long.
I was waiting to see if you went through the whole thing till you found it.
Oh my gosh. I just had to reopen it and scroll.
Good stuff.